Alright guys, so with Pride Month in full swing, I think that it is safe to say that this is no longer about so-called equal rights, right? It's not about that anymore. I think the rabbit hole is going much deeper than that, as we've seen some very strange and disturbing performances at these events that children are being allowed to go to, right? For example, when it comes to some of these pride parades, I mean, I've seen dudes twerking in thongs, I've seen breast out, okay, I've seen naked folks, I've seen all types of crazy stuff. One of the craziest things I've seen is a Christina Aguilera performance at a Pride concert out in Los Angeles, in which she had, you know, the strap, right? The strap out on stage, swinging everywhere, okay? This is a concert that children were allowed to attend. It's supposed to be family friendly, okay? And when you see stuff like that, you really got to question the direction that this country is going in, where we're allowing children to be exposed to stuff, because that is what the conversation has become about now, right? It's not about equal rights anymore, right? It's about, okay, do these people have special rights? That's kind of what it seems like. But again, one of the things that have really sparked this conversation is the whole drag queen thing, okay? As you could argue that is kind of being used as a way to introduce kids to this type of stuff, to say, well, you know, it's harmless. It's just men in dresses and makeup and wigs and, you know, fake breasts reading to children, right? Are you a bigot, right? If you're opposed to that. But again, the argument is that is not even really a slippery slope. I mean, you're really just falling off a cliff with that. But the argument is that is being used to introduce kids to this lifestyle, right? So with that being said, we're not the only ones that are debating this stuff here in America. Our neighbors across the pond in the UK are also having an intense debate about whether or not this should be banned, okay? Should we be allowing children to be exposed to this stuff? I want you guys to take a look at this heated debate that happened on a UK news show about this topic. Take a look.
What's wrong with drag queens?
Is absolutely despicable. And I think parents like that need investigating. Drag queens are fine, but it's an adult theme that has no place around. It's
not an adult
children.
theme at a children's storybook.
If we want to talk about the sexual connotations that are ever present in these so-called drag queen story hours and events that involve children, there was one in Dallas named a Drag Your Kids to Pride event, where the drag queens were accepting dollar bills from children, and in the background there was a sign that read, "It's not gonna lick itself." There was a drag queen story hour in Scotland. What did we find? The drag queen was called Flowjob. I think we all know what that means. And then once parents actually found Flowjob's Instagram, you found a host of sexually explicit and suggestive images. In 2019, in Houston, there was a drag queen story hour hosted at a public library. They actually admitted that one of the story timers was a registered sex offender. At another drag queen story hour, one of the drag queens accidentally exposed their genitals to a group of children. In England, they feature things like twerking, teaching children to dance suggestively. This has got nothing to do with being anti-queer, and I think it's pretty homophobic to suggest that being gay or queer is about presenting overly and sexually suggestive caricatures of women.
Not all drag queens are sexually suggestive.
Well, the examples I've just given you demonstrate that these sexual themes are involving children.
You're right, and I'll tell you,
of pride,
inappropriate incidents
and
happen,
inclusivity, and it's wrong.
You know what? Not true.
Well, a lot of them are, and a lot of them going into schools are, and it's being done without parental consent as well, and that's a terrible thing.
Because the suggestion is that the drag queen is somehow inherently inappropriate?
Absolutely, for children
disagree.
of a young age.
I disagree.
Because what the agenda is the whole transgender agenda is to confuse children about whether they're boys or girls. A lot of the number of children who are presenting with gender dysphoria.
So no one's ever been in drag in a children's television program?
The number of children who are presenting with gender dysphoria has gone up over 8,000% over the last decades. And we're talking about drag queens going into the very youngest of children and primary school and with sexualized materials. You mentioned children's books. A lot of them these days are not nice children's books like Paddington Bear and Enid Blyton. They're things that are...
Enid Blyton? What do you mean, the three gollywogs? You think that's a pleasant book? What were the names of those gollywogs? You can't even say it on the channel.
The number of... A lot of the books going... A lot of the books, if I can finish, please, you know...
Right, guys.
Okay, Michelle, go.
Over each other, because everyone
Enid Blyton,
everyone at home's ears will be hurting. We're not talking about Enid Blyton. We're talking about...
He was.
I was asking you, why is it necessary? Because I'm genuinely trying to understand, because to me, it's entirely unnecessary to do this with children.
Well, I think at the end of this article, they do talk about how 50 trans or gender non-conforming people were actually met with violence. Because I think what happens is when you don't... A lot of people
Stay
who
away from people's kids. You don't need to be...
Sorry, the implication that somebody, because they're trans, that they're some kind of a child molester is actually the reason why certain people are being sued right now. Sorry.
Why does this...
That's discrimination.
Why does there seem to be such an ideological drive from this movement to be around people's kids? Leave them alone.
Oh, my God. Give me a break. Kids are part of the world. Drag queens are part of the world. They're not these scary people that you would like to paint as someone who's going to molest your kid in the toilet. It's just, it's not true, and that's why there's so much violence against them.
Nobody should be sexualizing children.
Nobody's sexualizing children. They are reading a book.
Several examples. Let me give you an example.
Give me a break.
In Houston headed organisations who sponsored Drag Queen Story Hour. He was also arrested for harbouring child abuse images. There is...
And this happens in classrooms where there are no drag queens as well. These are independent incidents, and it's not there because they're drag queens.
Dangerous. This
Give me a break.
Utopia that you live in.
It's not a utopia that I live in. These instances happen in the heterosexual... sorry, they do.
Guys, it's funny because liberals, the left, they want us to be more like Europe, right? They want us to be more like the UK, okay? But they want us to be more like them in all the wrong ways, right? But I will say this. One way we do need to be more like them is that we should be having debates like that on TV. Like if CNN had open debate like that, where they actually allow conservative and dissenting opinions on the news channel, right, for open debate, I will watch CNN, right? However, that will never happen. You will never see that on CNN. We also should have Parliament like they do as well, too, in the UK, where they have open debate on the floor. Again, I would absolutely love to see it in America, okay? So those are the things we do need to take away from the UK and Europe. Everything else, they're far left, economic, and some of the social stuff they're into. We don't really need that, right? We don't really need that. And it seems like that they haven't quite yet gone off the cliff, and that there is some pushback even over there when it comes to the far left agenda, particularly involving children being exposed to this stuff. Okay, because again, the argument here, the conversation, the debate revolves around whether or not children should be exposed to overtly sexual themes, which is what Drag Queen Story Hour is, and that's also what Pride is, right? That's what it is. I mean, you're literally celebrating sexuality. By definition, that is sexual, okay? And again, the argument is, should kids be exposed to this stuff? Because nobody is trying to, or at least I'm not personally, I only can speak for myself, but I'm not trying to ban drag queens, right? Look, at the end of the day, do I agree with it? No. Do I think men should be running around here in dresses, wigs, makeup, and fake breasts? No. But if that's what they want to do when they're 18, I have no problems with them doing that. They're adults. You can live your life. If you want to sleep with people of the same sex, cool. Again, I don't agree with it, but that's your life. Do what you want to do. I'm not trying to ban you from that. However, when it comes to pushing that lifestyle on kids, okay, and trying to influence kids to join that lifestyle at a young age, that's when we have a problem, okay? And that is what is happening with a lot of the stuff we're seeing going on across the country, because a lot of these people believe in their heads that, well, if we get to the children, right, if we influence the children, then they'll be more LGBTQ friendly. And they say, well, if you don't agree with that, then you're a bigot, right? Because exposing these kids to things like drag will make them more accepting of us. So we don't want bigoted kids. And if you're against that, then you're a bigot. But see, the problem is, again, because what you're exposing them to, because it is overtly sexual, it is about sexuality. Essentially, what you're doing is you're pushing that type of lifestyle on kids. That is what you're doing, whether you realize that or not. A lot of them do realize it. But again, some of them are just making an argument that, well, it's about acceptance. It's about us wanting to be accepted by the next generation. But it's going further than that. And that's the problem. It's getting to the point now where it's like, okay, you say you're not trying to sexualize kids. However, at these events, like, again, the Pride Parade concert out in LA, you got Christina Aguilera on stage with, again, the strap. And then, you got some of these people in parades, twerking with thongs on, naked, got, genitals out, all types of crazy stuff with kids sitting right there. Again, I got to ask questions, right? I got to ask questions because I don't necessarily know if this is about equal rights anymore. That's what it used to be about. But again, when you ask these people, okay, what right don't you have in 2022? They can't give you an answer.
The LGBT community is always being misrepresented, underrepresented, and just on. We need to stop on the LGBT community and give them their flowers. A whole lot of our cultural things are from the LGBT community. So we need to just stand up and say gay rights.
Like, what are some of those things? Give us some examples.
How come I can't think of anything?
Well, the reason why is because there's no right that you don't have. Okay, you got gay marriage. You can't discriminate against people based off race, sexuality, gender, right? Or anything like that. You can't do that. So again, what rights don't you have? And every time you ask one of these people, well, what rights don't you have? They can't name anything. They can't name anything because now it's not about things like marriage equality anymore, right? It's not about that anymore. It's not about gay marriage anymore. It's now about, well, you're discriminating against us if you don't allow drag queens to read to kids, right? But if I turn around and say, hey, well, you know what? Cool. If you want drag queens to read to kids, let's have Bible study in school, right? Let's bring that back. Let's allow teachers to do that. I guarantee you they would disagree with that in a heartbeat. Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't push your religion on me. Okay, so why am I allowed to push my sexuality on kids, but I can't push my religion on kids? It doesn't make sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. So again, to me, I got questions about where all of this is going. Like, what do you want? Because again, it seems to me that LGBTQ rights have now become, again, about, well, we should have the right to just, indoctrinate kids into, our lifestyle and stuff like that. That is what it's become about, which means we've fallen off a cliff. We fall about a cliff. This is not about equal rights anymore. This is about special rights, right? That's what it's become about, okay? And if you don't agree with these special rights, then you're a bigot, right? You're a bigot. You're homophobic, you're transphobic, etc. When at the end of the day, there's just some things that kids should not be exposed to. And if you leave the kids out of it, for the most part, nobody will have anything to say. I can't sit here and come out here and say anything about pride parades. I don't want pride parades banned, right? I'm not going to say I want, even though, again, I disagree. But hey, I'm not going to say you should be banned. You shouldn't be able to do it. I don't want people's lifestyles banned. Shouldn't be able to do it. But again, the problem comes when you're now trying to push this stuff on children. And it is overt what they're trying to do. That is when it becomes an issue. Now we're talking about trying to ban stuff, right? Because again, I would totally be for a ban in terms of having drag queens come in and talk to kids about, sexuality and reading to them and stuff like that. Because it's like, why? Right? Again, what they do is sexual. They have, this is a sexual identity that they have. It is what it is. You can't get around that. And I don't think we should be exposing children to that stuff. And it doesn't make me a bigot to say that. Because again, I'm not trying to ban people from being drag queens. If you're going to be a drag queen, be a drag queen. Have fun with your life. But keep it for adults, right? As long as it stays for adults, cool. Because again, we would agree that, hey, if we brought strippers into school to read to kids, right? I think people would find that to be weird. Right? I think people say, I don't know about that. But who knows? Some of these people on the far left, maybe they are cool with that. Maybe they're totally fine with that. I mean, there was a show out in the UK called A Family Sex Show, in which they were just overtly talking about sex in front of kids, right? And their family members. There was so much outrage in the UK over that had to be canceled for a little bit, right? But again, that is how far left these people have went. They're going off a cliff, man. It's not about equal rights anymore. It's about special rights. And it's going a little bit too far. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.